After Hours Stories. Tonight's story, The Light Across the Courtyard. At 1:17 in the morning, the light across the courtyard comes on. Your camera is already pointed toward it, not toward the man. You tell yourself that distinction matters. The assignment is Vesper Court itself. 5 stories of rain-dark stone gathered around a narrow rectangle of air. Your late Aunt June spent 32 years in apartment 5B, and 14 of them arguing that the building deserved protection from developers, landlords, and anyone who described original tile as an inefficiency. 6 weeks after her death, you were sleeping in her bedroom and cataloging the photographic archive she left behind. Buildings are safe subjects. They do not lose jobs because of what appears behind them. They do not trust you with a name and then bleed because one reflection escaped your crop. Your current frame contains brick, drain pipes, 12 black windows, and 1 rectangle of amber light in the east wing. Apartment 5H. The same light appeared last night at exactly 1:17. A brass lamp beside the window. A man moving behind it. Nothing worth recording except repetition, and repetition is where a photographer begins paying attention. Tonight, he steps fully into view. He is tall. Dark hair falls untidily across his forehead, and a black shirt follows the lean line of a body built for speed rather than display. Even through rain and old glass, his stillness feels deliberate. One hand rests against the table. The cuff of his shirt is wet with blood. A compact black pistol lies beneath the lamp. You press the shutter. Across the courtyard, his head turns at the exact instant. The camera clicks. His gaze finds your lens. The distance between the windows is 43 feet. You measured it that afternoon for the building survey. It is far enough that you should not be able to feel recognition. But you feel it anyway. Your phone begins to vibrate beside the tripod, unknown caller. You let it ring twice while the man continues looking directly at you. Then you answer without lowering the camera. Who is this? His voice reaches you through the phone, low and entirely controlled. Leave your light on. You look at the illuminated lamp beside you. How did you get this number? The man outside your apartment used the same source. Every muscle in your body goes still. Do not look at the door, he says. You have 5 seconds to explain. The shadow beneath it arrived 19 seconds ago. If you turn, he will know I warned you. You keep your face toward the window and move one hand to the laptop beneath the camera. Nadia's message thread is still open. Your fingers type without leaving the keys long enough to betray the movement. Someone outside. Call police. Vesper Court, 5B. Across the courtyard, the stranger lifts his clean hand and places 2 fingers against the glass. Wait. The handle of your apartment door lowers behind you. Slowly. The new deadbolt holds. Metal touches metal with careful pressure. Whoever stands in the hallway is trying not to make a sound. He came for a roll of film, the man on the phone says. You hear no urgency in him. That is more frightening than panic would have been. What film? You would not be standing in front of an uncovered window if you knew. The handle rises. For 3 seconds nothing moves. Then the thin shadow beneath the door withdraws. Across the courtyard the stranger lowers his hand. Now call the police, he says. I'm calling them about both of you. His attention does not leave your window. Good, he replies. That may keep you alive long enough to become inconvenient. The line goes dead. The first officers arrive at 1:26. You tell them everything. The attempted door, the unknown call, the man in apartment 5H, the gun, and the blood. You surrender a copy of the photograph while retaining the original card and the automatic cloud upload. Years ago, you learned what happens when only one version of the truth exists. Fresh scoring marks the brass around your lock. The East Wing apartment is empty when officers enter it. The lamp remains on. A diluted smear of blood marks the white sink. The pistol is gone, and the rooms contain almost nothing else. 1 chair, 1 table, blackout curtains, and a lease held by a consulting company that does not appear to employ anyone. At 2:10, Detective Imani Grant arrives wearing a raincoat over clothes that suggest you woke her. She studies your photograph before she studies you. You recognize him, you ask. I recognize the man who expected to be photographed from the front, she says. It is not an answer. You respect it more than a false one. Grant photographs the lock, takes the unknown number, and asks whether Aunt June ever mentioned apartment 5H. You tell her no. June photographed courtyard windows, tenant meetings, repairs the landlord postponed, and every flowering plant that survived the northern exposure. She did not photograph armed men. Not in any image you have catalogued. Do not stay here tonight, Grant says. You do not argue. At 2:43, you leave with both cameras, June's index books, and every undeveloped role you have found. A patrol officer waits while you lock the apartment. You spend the remainder of the night in a hotel room reserved under Nadia Reyes's name. Nadia was your editor before she became the person allowed to tell you when vigilance had become self-punishment. She lives 3 states away, answers on the first ring, and keeps you on video until sunrise. At 7:12, she receives an encrypted folder containing the Courtyard photograph, the police report number, and instructions to release both if you fail to check in. Only then do you return to Vesper Court with a locksmith, a portable alarm, and Detective Grant's card inside your coat. The man from 5H is waiting in the courtyard. Daylight does not make him safer. It makes him more specific. He stands beneath the covered passage in a charcoal coat, tall enough that the old stone arch seems designed for someone else. His shoulders fill the coat without stretching it. His dark hair has been combed back, though the rain has already disturbed it. A narrow bandage circles his left hand. The face above it is composed, angular, and exhausted. He has no visible weapon. That does not mean he is unarmed. You stop 10 feet away and raise your camera. He looks directly into the lens. You came recording, he says. You came uninvited. I live here. A shell company lives here. You bleed and it sink. His eyes move once toward the small red light on your camera body. The real-time copy is useful, he says. Keep it running. Rain taps the glass roof above the courtyard. The locksmith remains visible through the west wing door. You arrange that deliberately. The stranger notices him, the camera, the exit behind you, and the fact that your right hand has not entered your coat pocket. His attention inventories risk the way yours inventories light. Your name, you say. Elias Rook. Your occupation. Currently, regretting several decisions. That occupation seems oversubscribed. Something almost amused touches his expression and disappears. Private intelligence, he says. Before that, government work. After that, work for men who preferred the first description. A fixer, when the invoice needed softer language. He takes one step closer. You lift the camera higher. He stops. Not apologetically. Not gently. He stops because the distance is information, and you have just changed it. Your aunt photographed something from that window 3 years ago, he says. October 9th, 1:17 in the morning. 35mm black and white film. June died of an aneurysm 6 weeks ago. The medical examiner confirmed it. I know. Were you watching her too? At first. The honesty lands with more force than denial. Then she began watching me. And now you're watching me. Now Warren Kells is watching both of us. You know the name. Kells founded Black Ridge Strategic, a private security firm that acquired municipal contracts, political friends, and a talent for appearing nowhere near the consequences of its work. 3 years ago, one of its consultants was questioned after a housing inspector died during an apparent burglary. No charges followed. What did June photograph, you ask? The reason someone tested your lock. That still isn't an answer. No, it is the amount of answer I can give in an open courtyard. You called my private number from an apartment containing a gun and blood. You don't get to become cautious now. Elias's gaze settles on you with a concentration that feels less like admiration than pressure. You left investigative work after the Bell Street photograph identified a protected source, he says. You have spent 4 years accepting architectural commissions and declining every assignment involving a human subject. You know what an image can cost. That is why June chose you. For a moment, the courtyard becomes very quiet. Use her name again, you say, and make sure the next sentence earns it. Elias does not soften. June trusted your judgment more than she trusted your fear, he replies. The locksmith opens the west wing door and calls that he is finished. You keep the camera trained on Elias. You want to search her apartment, you say. Yes. You want the film. Before Kells finds it. And after you find it. That depends on whether you make copies before I can stop you. It should sound like a threat. Instead, it sounds like the first rule of a game he expects you to play well. Nadia has your photograph and your name. You say. Detective Grant has both. This camera is streaming. If you enter 5B, you enter because I permit it. You touch nothing until I photograph where it was. You do not close a door between us. You do not take the film. You assume you will recognize it. You assume you can prevent me. The almost amusement returns. That, Elias says, is the first useful thing anyone has assumed about me today. Inside apartment 5B, Elias places 3 things on the entry table: a pistol from beneath his coat, a folding knife, and a second phone. You photograph them for Nadia. Anything else? Several bad habits. Those remain outside. Elias watches without objection. The apartment still smells faintly of June's cedar drawers and the coffee she brewed too strong. Morning light reveals the careful disorder left by the police search. It also reveals something the police did not notice. The dust on the darkroom door has been disturbed twice, once at shoulder height, once beside the lower hinge. You crouch with the camera. The man outside your door entered before last night, Elias says. The lock wasn't marked yesterday. He used a key the first time. Then why return with tools? Because you changed the chain after the funeral. You look up. How do you know that? I watched you install it badly. Anger rises clean and immediate. You do not get to make surveillance sound domestic. I am not trying to make it sound anything. That is supposed to improve it? No. That the absence of defense leaves nowhere easy to put your anger. Elias moves past you and examines the darkroom door without touching it. Someone removed the hinge pins and replaced them, he says. The alarm on the frame would never have sounded. You straighten. The police search this room. Police search for people. Kell searches for what people believed was hidden. And you, his eyes find yours. I search for the mistake made by the person who searched first. The dark room was once a dining pantry. June covered the walls in matte paint, sealed the narrow window, and balanced an enlarger on a counter built for preserving jars. Contact sheets hang above labeled boxes. Dates, exposure times, and apartment numbers fill her square handwriting. You begin at the door and photograph clockwise. Elias waits. Only after you lower the camera does he enter. He does not behave like a guest. He checks the ceiling vent, the back of the blackout curtain, the underside of the work table, and the hollow space beneath the sink. His movements are economical and unsentimental. He also does exactly what you required. Nothing moves before your lens records it. At the third drawer, you find a row of film canisters arranged by year. October 9th is missing. In its place lies a note in June's handwriting. The light tells the truth backward. Below it, she drew a rectangle divided into 36 smaller frames. Elias reads over your shoulder. He is close enough that the warmth of him reaches you in the cold room. She expected you to understand that, he says. A negative reverses light and dark. That is the obvious answer. June distrusted obvious answers. Another reason we got along. You turn before remembering how little space lies behind you. Elias is less than a foot away. The severe line of his face changes at this distance. Fatigue has marked the skin beside his eyes. Rain remains caught in his dark hair. Beneath the open collar of his black shirt, his pulse moves once and steadies. His gaze lowers briefly to your mouth, not accidentally, not politely. Then it returns to your eyes. Move, you say. He moves immediately. The fact that he wanted not to is visible for half a second. That is the first moment he becomes more dangerous to you than the gun in the hallway. June's index omits October 9th, but apartment 5H appears 23 times. Most notes mention lamps, the east window, a man, or rain. They begin 3 weeks before Wren's death and end 4 months later, all recorded at 1:17. Beneath the red safety light, you pin the contact sheets in sequence. Apartment 5H is empty in the earliest images. In later photographs, a table and the brass lamp appear beside the window, while Elias stands behind them in silhouette on several rainy nights. In June's photographs, he seems less polished and more lethal. Shorter hair, a harder face, once the unmistakable outline of a shoulder holster beneath his jacket. She documented you, you say. She documented everyone. Not at the same minute for 4 months. 1:17 was a signal, meaning the light on meant no one had entered her apartment while she was away. Curtains open meant it was safe to speak. Curtains closed meant Kels had someone in the building. Why would June trust you with a warning system? Elias removes one contact sheet from the wall. You catch his wrist before he can lower it. His attention shifts to your hand around him. The room appears to contract. You agreed not to move anything, you say. Look at frame 28. Put it back. He does. Only then do you release him. Frame 28 shows the east window at 117. The lamp is dark. Someone has written a telephone number against the glass in white grease pencil. You recognize the final 4 digits, June's old landline. She contacted you, you say, the morning after Wren died. What did she see? Enough to make me useful. You keep substituting usefulness for innocence. I have never claimed innocence. Elias reaches inside his coat and stops when your body tightens. Phone, he says, slowly. He removes it with his right hand and places it on the counter. His left remains pressed against the lining near his ribs. Pain cuts briefly through his expression. The blood you saw across the courtyard was not only on his cuff. It is dried along the side of his shirt. You're hurt. Observant. Is the other man alive? He left 5H under his own power. That was not my question. Elias holds your gaze. He was alive when he entered the car Cal sent for him. And the gun? His. You kept it. I dislike waste. The answer should end the conversation. Instead, you hear the effort beneath his even breathing. Sit down, you say. No. You are bleeding in a room full of irreplaceable negatives. A compelling ethical argument. It wasn't ethical. June loved this floor. For the first time, Elias smiles. It is not a kind smile. It is brief, exhausted, and unexpectedly real. Then his knees nearly fail. You catch Elias beneath one shoulder. His weight forces you back against the counter before he recovers. One hand closes around the edge beside your hip, the other braces against the wall. He does not fall against you. He controls the last inch with visible effort. Still don't need to sit? You ask. I am reconsidering the wording. You guide him to June's wooden chair. The injury is a shallow knife cut along his left side, already closed with adhesive strips that were applied badly and too quickly. You retrieve June's first aid tin and place it on the table. I can do it, Elias says. Then do it correctly. He opens the tin with one hand. The bandage sticks to his shirt. His jaw tightens when he pulls it free, but he makes no other sound. Blood has darkened the fabric without soaking it. No wound is exposed to your camera, and you are grateful. When Elias reaches for fresh gauze from the wrong angle, you take it away from him yourself. This does not mean I trust you or that I have forgiven you. No, you do not know me well enough. Knowing more may not help. Yes, you press the clean dressing against his side. Heat moves through the thin black fabric beneath your fingers. Elias becomes completely still. He watches your face rather than your hand. His composure is not absence of reaction. It is reaction held behind locked doors. You should be more afraid of me, he says. You should stop telling me what to feel. That was not an instruction. Everything sounds like an instruction when you say it. His gaze drops to where your hand remains against him. Then you should remove your hand before I say something you mistake for one. The warning changes the air between you. You secure the edge of the bandage deliberately. Then you step away. Your apartment, you say. I want to see what you see from the other side. No. Then our agreement ends here. You do not know whether 5H is secure. Neither do you. That is why you don't want me inside it. Elias studies you for a long moment. You use suspicion like a lock-pick, he says. You use concern like a leash. That lands. He closes the first aid tin. Bring your camera, he says. Apartment 5H contains exactly what the police described and everything they missed. The chair beside the window faces 5B. The table holds a city map beneath its removable top. Red marks identify entrances to Vesper Court, the homes of 3 former Blackridge employees, Detective Grant's precinct, and Nadia's address 3 states away. 4 monitors hide behind the curtain. 3 show doors in Courtyard Passage. The last monitor directly faces your window, but its narrow view includes only the glass and curtain and the lamp beside your tripod, without revealing your room at all. The violation remains. Elias lets you switch it off before you ask, how long? Since the probate notice published your name. 6 weeks. Yes. You watched me sleep there. Your bedroom is outside the sightline. That qualification does not help. It was not intended to. You find the file beneath the keyboard. Your commissions. Former addresses. The Bell Street investigation. Nadia. Your hotel from the night before. A photograph of you carrying June's enlarger through the courtyard. You lift the folder. This comes with me. Yes. You don't retain another copy. There are 2. Where? a lower drawer, and an encrypted drive in the wall safe. You look at him. Why tell me? Because if I lie about a fact you can verify, you will assume I lie about everything else. Do you? Only when it produces an advantage. That is not reassuring. Reassurance would be a lie. He opens the lower drawer and places the second file beside the first. Then he unlocks the wall safe and removes a black drive no larger than your thumb. He gives you all three. It is either an extraordinary performance or the first surrender he has made. The drive contains Blackridge accounts, client instructions, surveillance records, and my operational reports, he says. Some prove what Kells did. Some prove what I did for him. Why haven't you given it to police? 2 detectives on the original Wren investigation received Blackridge payments. I needed evidence Kells could not dismiss as records I manufactured after leaving. June's film. The original negative places Kells here on the night Wren died. It also places me here. You close your hand around the drive. Tell me the part designed to make me give this back. Elias leans against the table, careful of his injured side. The courtyard light divides his face into amber and shadow. Thomas Wren discovered Blackridge had paid building inspectors to create emergency vacancies, he says. They declared occupied properties unsafe, removed tenants, and cleared redevelopment sites for clients. Wren copied the payment records. Kells sent you to recover them. He sent me to frighten Wren into silence. Did you? Yes. The answer comes without decoration. Wren refused. Kells arrived. The argument changed. Elias looks toward the window where June once watched him. Kells shot him, he says. I was close enough to stop it and slow enough to choose myself. Rain moves across the window between you and apartment 5B. What did you do after, you ask? Removed the security recording, cleaned the hallway, carried Wren through the service passage and placed him where the death would resemble a burglary interrupted. Elias's voice remains steady. That steadiness no longer feels effortless. It feels practiced under unbearable weight. June photographed you. She photographed all of it from across the courtyard. Kells saw a flash, but could not identify the window. I found her before he did. And threatened her? Yes. Why did she trust you? She didn't. She kept the negative where I could not reach it, and arranged for copies to surface if she disappeared. Then she demanded information. Names, accounts, buildings. She turned you. June would have objected to that description. She said I had finally noticed the direction I was already facing. You can hear your aunt in the sentence. That hurts more than the confession. Have you killed anyone? You ask. Elias does not pretend to misunderstand. 3 men. The room seems to sharpen around the number. Were they trying to kill you? 2 were. One was trying to kill someone I had been paid to extract. That answer is designed to make them acceptable. Yes. Are they? No death should become acceptable because the survivor explains it well. You look at the drive in your hand. This is what separates him from the men in photographs who always claimed the frame had misunderstood them. Elias is not asking to be misunderstood. He is giving you better evidence. The light, you say. Why 1:17? The time June's camera recorded Kells entering 5H. Once we began exchanging information, it became our check signal. When she stopped answering, I knew something had changed. She died naturally. I know. Then why continue watching the apartment? Because Kells would search after probate identified her heir. That explains the camera, not the lamp. Elias looks across the courtyard at your empty window. The first night the lamp was operational, he says, and the nights after, you looked back. The admission settles low beneath your ribs. It does not excuse a surveillance. It does not transform invasion into devotion. It does something less comfortable. It makes the wanting mutual. That should bother me, you say. It should. You are remarkably committed to being undesirable. I have found honesty more efficient. Honesty would have involved knocking on my door. If I had knocked before last night, you would have called the police. I called them anyway, which is one of several reasons I have not stopped thinking about you. The sentence is not tender. It is worse. It is precise. You know things about me, you say. That is not the same as knowing me. No. The clean agreement unsettles you more than an argument would have. Ask me something that is not in your file. Something you cannot use. Elias considers the question with the same care he gave the room. What did you photograph when no one was paying you? You had expected him to ask about Bell Street, or June, or why you returned to an apartment someone had already entered. Hands, you say. His attention lowers to yours around the encrypted drive. People working, you continue. A baker folding dough, a mechanic rebuilding a transmission, June loading film in the dark. Faces begin performing as soon as they notice a camera. Hands forget to lie. You miss it. It is not phrased as a question. Yes, the answer belongs to you because you chose to give it. Your turn, you say. If Blackridge disappeared tomorrow, what would you want? To finish what June started. That is an objective. I ask what you want afterward. For once, Elias has no efficient answer. He looks at the empty chair, the bare table, and the apartment arranged entirely around exits. I have spent 20 years making certain I could leave any room, he says. I do not know how to answer a question that assumes I stay. It is not a future. It is the first time he has admitted that he cannot imagine one. Elias crosses to the dark monitor. He disconnects the Courtyard feed, removes its storage card, and places the card beside the drive in your palm. This belongs to you, he says. It never did. No. His hand withdraws. It contains what I took anyway. He does not ask you to believe there are no other copies. He gives you the means to verify it. You return to 5B carrying the files, the encrypted drive, and both of Elias's apartment keys. He does not ask for any of them back. The archive transfer takes nearly 3 hours. For the first time since he entered 5B, neither of you is searching a room or interrogating the other. Rain moves against the windows. The progress bar advances with insulting calm. You make coffee from the tin, June kept above the sink. Elias accepts a cup after you place it within reach. He drinks once and looks down at it as though the coffee has violated an agreement. June made it stronger, he says. June had 32 years to build an immunity. She claimed weak coffee encouraged weak conclusions. The impression is exact enough that a laugh escapes you before you decide whether he has earned it. Elias goes still. What? You ask. That sound was not in the file. Good. Something changes in his face. Not victory, not possession. Relief. A contact sheet loosens from the line above the sink and tilts toward a tray. Elias reaches for it, then stops with his hand open beneath the paper. May I? You look at him. Yes. He catches the sheet before it touches the chemical residue and fastens it back beneath June's wooden clip. The act gains him nothing. He does not use it to move closer. He returns to the opposite side of the work table without looking at you as though he has earned anything. The distance feels chosen rather than imposed. He gives you the password in the Courtyard where your camera records him saying it. No bargaining. No request that you protect him. By late afternoon, Nadia has the entire archive. Detective Grant has an encrypted copy and instructions to open it, with an internal affairs investigator present. 3 news organizations hold timed packages that will release if Nadia cancels the delay. Only then do you resume searching for June's film. The light tells the truth backward. You compare every lamp June photographed, the darkroom safety light, the enlarger's bulb housing, and the brass lamp across the courtyard. At 7:30, a reversed exposure note on the back of a contact sheet finally catches and holds your attention. It reads, "Not his light, mine." June's reading lamp is beside the 5B window. Its base is heavier than it should be. You photograph it before removing the felt underneath. A circular brass plate has been loosened and replaced. Inside the hollow base rests one black film canister wrapped in waxed paper. October 9. Elias reaches toward it. You close your hand first. His fingers stop against the back of yours. For one charged second, neither of you moves. He could overpower you. Both of you know it. He withdraws. Your terms, he says. I develop it. I scan it. Nadia and Grant receive the first copies. The original goes into an evidence bag that you do not touch. Agreed. You provide a recorded statement explaining every frame. Agreed. If the film contradicts you, I publish that too, especially then. You begin preparing the darkroom. The old process steadies your hands. Chemical temperatures. Timed agitation. Clean reels. Evidence seals photographed before and after opening. Elias reads the canister number aloud for the recording while you document the unbroken wax. Your previous life returns through procedure rather than courage. The fear remains. You work correctly beside it. At 8:16, Elias's second phone rings from the entry table. Only one person has that number. He answers on speaker. Warren Kells speaks without introduction. You have something that belongs to me. Elias looks at the film in your gloved hand. You have confused possession with ownership again, he says. Kells laughs once. Put the photographer on. You do not move closer. She can hear you, Elias says. Then she can hear this. Her editor ordered dinner at 6:20 from the Thai restaurant beneath her office. The delivery driver wore a blue cap. Nadia is 3 states away. The fact reaches the room anyway. If Nadia misses her next check-in, you say, everything releases. Then neither of us should do anything impulsive, Kells replies. The call ends. Nadia answers your video call on the first ring. She is unharmed. The blue-capped delivery driver appears on the office camera exactly as Kells described. Someone is watching the building. Nadia leaves through the secured garage with 2 colleagues and drives directly to a police station. Detective Grant confirms that officers are being sent to Vesper Court. A storm has flooded the southern underpass. Estimated arrival, 20 minutes. The lights in 5B go out after 4. The darkroom safety lamp remains red for 1 breath, then dies. Across the courtyard, the brass lamp in 5H turns on. 117 is still hours away. That isn't you, you say. No. Elias retrieves his pistol from the entry table. Take the west stairs, he says. Grant's officers can meet you at the street. The film is still developing. Leave it. No. This is not the moment to prove you cannot be ordered, and this is not the moment for you to decide that my work is disposable. His voice lowers. Your life is not your work. You do not get to value one by destroying the other. The emergency lights in the courtyard flicker on, staining the rain outside a dull red. Elias stands very still. Then he removes the pistol's magazine, clears the weapon without flourish, and places both pieces on opposite ends of the counter. What are you doing, you ask, removing the possibility that you mistake force for persuasion. Kells is inside the building. Yes, you may need that. Then you will decide whether to give it back. The choice is heavier than the weapon. You look at Elias in the red darkness. He does not look harmless. He has not become safe because he surrendered 1 gun. There are other ways he could hurt you, and both of you understand that what he has surrendered is advantage. The west stairs are watched. The courtyard camera covers the passage. We finish the negative, upload the scans, cross through 5H, and take the east fire stairs. That exposes you to the window. Then we control it. You set the equipment case on the counter and open it to choose the tools you need. 4 battery-powered flashes, 2 remote triggers, a camera capable of uploading every frame through its own cellular connection. Elias watches you position the flashes toward the darkroom entrance and main hall. You planned for difficult architecture, he says. I planned for shadows. There is a difference. Architecture holds still. The first noise comes from the apartment door. Not a knock. A key entering the new lock. Elias returns the magazine to the pistol and places the weapon in your hand. You said I would decide, you whisper. You have. You push it back against his chest. I have a better tool. His hand closes over the pistol. The lock turns. Elias disappears into the narrow space beside the darkroom door. You remain at the counter with the film canister visible beneath your hand and the remote trigger hidden inside your palm. The apartment door opens. Warren Kells enters wearing a dark raincoat and the expression of a man arriving for an appointment he arranged. He is older than Elias by a decade, silver beginning at his temples, his face ordinary enough to have escaped years of memorable descriptions. A second man follows him. The bandage around that man's throat is clean. His right hand is not. 2 fingers have swollen beneath the tape. Alive, then. Elias did not lie. Kells looks at the film beneath your hand. June always preferred obsolete methods, he says. They become useful when digital records keep disappearing. You have her timing. You have her key. Had. He glances at the new lock. Your locksmith has an expensive family. The new key could only have been cut from the locksmith's code. Kells did not defeat the lock. He found the person frightened enough to reproduce it. The second man moves toward you. Stop there, you say. It does not. You press the trigger once. Both flashes fire from the hallway. White light fills the apartment with enough force to erase depth. The second man recoils, one arm rising across his eyes. Elias moves. He strikes the man's wrist against the doorframe. A weapon falls onto June's runner. Elias drives him into the wall and kicks the weapon beneath the radiator. Kells reaches inside his coat. You press the trigger again. The flash catches him facing forward. Your camera shutter opens automatically. The image uploads before the light fades. A gunshot cracks through the dark room. Plaster falls from the ceiling above you. Elias crosses the room before Kells can fire again. The pistol strikes the floor and slides beneath the work table. They collide against the work table. Metal trays strike the floor. Kells drives something short and silver into Elias's side. Elias's breath leaves him. Blood spreads dark across the black shirt. He catches Kells's wrist with both hands and turns until the knife drops. The second man reaches for you. You swing June's solid wooden drying rack into his knees. He falls hard enough to shake the shells. You take the abandoned gun from beneath the radiator and slide it across the floor, not toward Elias, but into the dark room drain, where no one can reach it quickly. Upload complete, Nadia's voice announces from the laptop battery speaker. Kells hears it. So does Elias. Kells attempts to run. Elias catches him at the courtyard door and drives him face first against the glass. The old pane shudders in its frame. Kells reaches backward, fingers searching for Elias's injury. Elias traps the arm and forces him to the floor. There is nothing restrained in his face now. No polished calculation. No distance. Only a violence that has been practiced often enough to become quiet. His forearm presses across Kells's throat. Kells's shoes scrape once against the wood. Elias. He does not look at you. Pressure increases. We need him alive, you say. You need the film. I need the truth to survive both of you. Kells's face has begun to darken. You step closer despite every instinct telling you not to enter the reach of a man who looks like this. Elias. Look at me. His head turns. For 1 second you see exactly what he warned you about. Not a misunderstood gentleman. Not a dangerous man made harmless by wanting one woman. A man capable of killing the person beneath him and living with the decision afterward. You hold his gaze. Alive, you repeat. Elias releases him. Kells drags in air and curls against the floor. The choice does not absolve Elias. That is why it matters. Sirens reach Vesper Court from both streets. Detective Grant enters 5B with 4 officers and finds the negative hanging safely in the dark room, 2 injured intruders on the floor, and Elias seated against the wall with one hand pressed to his side. His pistol lies several feet away. He makes no attempt to reach it. Grant orders everyone to show their hands. Elias raises his clean hand first. The drive password is in the recording she sent you, he says. My statement begins in the folder marked Wren. An officer approaches with restraints. Elias does not resist. As they bring him to his feet, his eyes find yours across the damaged room. Do not wait for me, he says. Even bleeding, even surrounded, he makes it sound like an order. You look at the handcuffs closing around his wrists. You are still remarkably bad at asking, you reply. For the second time. Elias Rook smiles. Then Detective Grant leads him away. Morning enters Vesper Court slowly. The storm moves east. Rainwater gathers beneath the broken courtyard door, and police lights turn the old stone alternately red and blue. Kells leaves in an ambulance under guard. His associate leaves in another. Neither injury is life-threatening. The bullet in June's ceiling missed the pipes, the neighboring apartment, and every box of negatives. Elias requires 12 stitches. He receives them after being formally detained. You spend 6 hours giving statements, transferring files, and watching Detective Grant build an evidence log that no single officer can quietly alter. Nadia remains on video from a police conference room until you are both satisfied that the scheduled releases can be changed from emergency publication to supervised review. The photographs from the attack are ugly, tilted, and technically imperfect. They are also undeniable. Kells entering with an unauthorized key. The second man advancing after being told to stop. The gun in Kells's hand. Elias moving from shadow. Your own reflection in the darkroom glass, holding the trigger rather than hiding behind the camera. At 11:14, Detective Grant returns June's brass lamp after the evidence technician empties it. Rook's attorney says he will cooperate, she tells you. Does cooperation erase accessory to murder? No. Does stopping Kells? No. You nod. It is the answer you needed. Grant rests one hand on the back of June's chair. It may change what can be proven against everyone else, she says. It may change what a judge believes he became after that night. It does not change what he did. He knows. That does not make him safe. You look through the window at the unlit apartment across the courtyard. No, you say. It makes him accurately labeled. After Grant leaves, you sit beside June's lamp. For 4 years, you have believed the ethical response to one harmful photograph was to stop making photographs that could harm anyone. June did something more difficult. She preserved the image. She protected copies. She built conditions around its release. She found people who could corroborate it. She refused both silence and recklessness. Distance was never the same as ethics. It was only easier. You open the folder containing your unfinished application for an investigative fellowship. This time you complete it. 3 months later, the photograph titled 117 hangs in the city archive. It is not June's photograph of a death. It is yours. 36 windows around the Vesper Court courtyard, one amber lamp reflected in rain, and no person visible anywhere in the frame. The exhibition text explains what the negative helped uncover. Blackridge strategic faces a federal investigation. Warren Kells has been charged with murder, conspiracy, bribery, and witness intimidation. 4 fraudulent building closures are under review. Vesper Court has received temporary landmark protection. You have returned to documentary work with new rules. Written consent where it is possible. Redundant review where it is not, and Nadia prepared to argue with you professionally for as long as necessary. Elias has entered a cooperation agreement and formally pleaded guilty to obstruction, evidence tampering, and conspiracy. His sentencing has not yet taken place. His cooperation has not erased a single line of the plea. It has exposed years of Blackridge records and reduced the sentence prosecutors intend to seek. A judge has released him under strict supervision while the remaining cases proceed. The court prohibited him from contacting you until your testimony concluded. Your testimony concluded that afternoon, at 1:17 in the morning. You stand in apartment 5B with June's lamp switched off. Across the courtyard, the light in 5H comes on. Elias steps into view. 3 months have sharpened him. His hair is shorter. The injury at his side no longer affects the way he stands. He wears a dark shirt with the sleeves rolled once and no coat to hide what he might carry. His hands are empty. He sees you. For several seconds neither of you moves. Then Elias reaches for the lamp, not to signal, to turn it off. He does not expect you to answer. He is finally prepared to leave the choice where it belongs. You take the east wing keys from the drawer. The red across the courtyard requires 5 flights down, 43 feet through cold midnight air, and 5 flights back up. You know because you measured it. You also know that distance has never protected you as completely as you pretended. The light in 5H remains on while you leave your apartment. Elias opened the door before you knock a second time. He does not look surprised. He looks angry. You should not be here, he says. The contact restriction ended at 5 this afternoon. That is a legal fact, not a recommendation. You told me not to wait. You shouldn't have. I didn't. That stops him. Elias steps away from the doorway without inviting you in, leaving you room to decide. You enter and close the door. The apartment around him has changed. Every piece of surveillance equipment has disappeared along with the maps and concealed files. Beside the window, only the table, the chair, and the brass lamp remain. I worked, you say. I finished June's archive. I testified. I built a life that did not require you to return. Elias's jaw tightens. Good. That does not mean I stopped wanting to know you. You know what I am. I know what you did. I know what you chose when the choice cost you. I do not know who you are when no one is in danger. You may not like the answer. That is mine to decide. And you crossed anyway. Do not confuse a choice you dislike with one I failed to understand. Elias looks at you the way he looked through the courtyard glass on the first night, directly, without any comforting version of himself between you. I watched your window because of Kells, he says. Then I kept the light on because I wanted you to look back. Both things are true. One does not make the other acceptable. I know. I wanted you before you had enough information to choose me. And, when I had enough information, his voice lowers. I wanted you more. There it is. Not gentleness, not rescue. Once stripped of any claim that it deserves to be answered. When I held the only evidence capable of destroying you, you say, you gave me the password. It was yours. You could have taken it. Yes, but you didn't. Do not make virtue from the minimum. I'm not. I'm not here to forgive the minimum, you say. And I am not here to promise you a future. Elias's expression reveals nothing. Only his hands betray him. They close once at his sides and open again. Then why are you here? To find out whether a future exists. Silence moves between you. It is the first silence you have shared that contains no hidden person, no countdown, and no weapon waiting to be found. Under what conditions, he asks. The question matters because he asks it before offering any of his own. No files about me. No watching my window unless I turn on the lamp for you. No entering 5B without an invitation. If you want to know something, you ask. If you are frightened for me, you tell me why. You do not turn fear into an order and call it protection. I will not become good at that quickly. Then I will leave quickly. Understood. And no strategic honesty. One eyebrow moves. You will have to define that. Telling me an ugly truth because you calculated that it would earn trust. Most honesty has a motive. Then learn to tell me things when you gain nothing. Elias looks toward the chair across from his. Coffee, he says. Tomorrow, 2 in the afternoon. The cafe on Mercer Street has 2 public exits and no Blackridge history. You researched the cafe. I researched the building. That distinction does not matter as much as you think. No, he says. It rarely does. You almost smile. 2 o'clock, you say. And this time, learn something about me by asking. You leave before desire can make the first decision for you. Elias does not follow. That is the first condition he keeps. Elias is waiting at a street-facing table when you arrive the next afternoon. His phone rests face down, and no folder lies beside it. You take the chair across from him. During the first 10 minutes, ordinary conversation feels more dangerous than the room where Kells held a gun. There is no evidence to interpret, no threat to organize you against, only 2 cups, late sunlight, and the possibility that without urgency you may have nothing to say. Then Elias asks what happened to the photograph of the baker's hands. You tell him it hangs in Nadia's kitchen because the baker hated his own face and loved the way the flour looked across his knuckles. He asks what you would photograph now. You answer without protecting the thought first. The meetings that follow do not become a ritual. Some happen in daylight. One takes place on the steps outside the courthouse after Elias spends 4 hours naming men who once paid him to make consequences disappear. One lasts 20 minutes in the city archive before your fellowship interview. Another happens with Nadia on a video screen, asking questions sharp enough that Elias finally says, I understand why you trust her. And Nadia replies, that was not one of the questions. You learn that Elias drinks coffee without sugar, reads every agreement from the final page backward, and cannot sit with his back to a door, even when the only people entering are librarians. He learns that you leave cabinet doors open, talk to contact sheets while they develop, and still carry the damaged Bell Street camera, even though its shutter has not worked in 4 years. He listens when you explain exposure latitude instead of pretending to understand it. You listen when he describes the difference between remorse and restitution. Neither of you mistakes being understood for being absolved. At the 4th meeting, you tell him the investigative fellowship has accepted you. Your first assignment will examine 3 occupied buildings once targeted by Blackridge clients. You are not going into those buildings alone, Elias says. The old command lands between the water glasses. You stand. It does not reach for you. I turned fear into an instruction, he says. Yes. And you are leaving. Yes, you leave. He sends no car after you. He does not appear outside 5B. He does not use Nadia, Grant, or the fellowship director to reach around your decision. The following morning, one message arrives. Kells may have left people out of the records. I can give Grant the names that concern me. What you do with them is yours. You meet him that evening on a bench outside the archive. What do you want me to do? You ask. The effort it costs him to answer is visible. Let me explain the risk, he says. Then decide without me. It is not a transformation. It is practice. You sit beside him. When the explanation is finished, Elias offers his hand with the palm open between you. You take it. It is the first time either of you touches the other without injury, danger, or leverage, deciding the moment. Weeks pass. His sentencing remains ahead of him. Your fellowship begins. Some evenings end in disagreement. Others end because neither of you notices the cafe stacking chairs around you. Once you ask again what he wants after Black Ridge. This time, Elias has an answer. One room I intend to return to, he says. Work that can survive being described accurately. A door with my own name on it. Then he looks at you. And the chance to ask before I enter yours. 6 weeks after the contact restriction ended, Rain returns to Vesper Court. At 1:17 in the morning, you switch on June's brass lamp in apartment 5B. Across the courtyard, 5H is dark. Then Elias steps to the window. He sees the light. He does not reach for his own lamp immediately. He waits until you lift the east wing keys where he can see them. Only then does the light across the courtyard come on. The route still requires 5 flights down, 43 feet through cold midnight air, and 5 flights back up. This time you are not crossing toward a stranger. You know the man who will open the door. Elias does not tell you that you should not be there. His gaze moves over your face, then toward the illuminated window behind you. You left your light on, he says. I know. Was it a signal? You are learning to ask. Slowly. Yes, you say. It was a signal. You step inside. The table now holds 2 coffee cups, a stack of court papers, and a small mechanical clock Elias has taken apart because one gear refuses to keep honest time. On the wall hangs a print of the baker's flour-covered hands. The first photograph you chose to give him. There are still no photographs of you. There are no monitors facing 5B. He has not become harmless. He has become someone whose choices you have watched in daylight. You close the distance between you. If you stay this close, Elias says, I am going to want to kiss you. Wanting is not asking. No. His attention drops to your mouth and returns. Then ask for what you want. His voice lowers. May I kiss you? You close your hand around the open edge of his shirt. Yes. His mouth meets yours with 6 weeks of restraint behind it. For one suspended second, his hands remain at his sides. Then you kiss him back. Control breaks. One hand closes at your waist and brings you against him. The other rises to the back of your neck, firm and warm, holding without forcing. His mouth moves over yours with a certainty no longer built only from danger. There is nothing timid about the kiss. There is care in every place he could take more and does not. Your fingers tighten in his shirt. He turns you until the edge of the table touches behind you, then stops before the furniture can decide anything on your behalf. His forehead rests briefly against yours. His breathing is no longer controlled. Tell me once, he says, voice roughened but clear. And I stop. You know the man who watched a death, preserved its evidence, threatened your aunt, protected her, surveilled you, surrendered his leverage, and accepted the consequence. Now you also know the man who can sit across from your anger without rearranging it. Hear no, and remain gone. Ask an honest question without first calculating the answer, and imagine a room he means to return to. Nothing about him is simple enough to mistake for safety. What exists between you is no longer simple enough to mistake for adrenaline. I know, you say. Then you pull him back to your mouth. The second kiss is slower, not gentler. Elias's thumb rests beneath your jaw while the hand at your waist remains exactly where you allowed it. Rain moves against the window. Across the courtyard, your own apartment waits with its curtains open and June's lamp burning. When Elias finally lifts his head, the hard line of his mouth is changed. He looks from your light to the one beside him. 2 apartments facing each other. 2 lamps left on, neither one a warning. This time, the light across the courtyard does not tell you where danger is. It tells you where you chose to go,